Howdy folks, I hope you guys are doing well and welcome to another video brought to you by Louis Art. My name is Emmanuel Okafo, and in this video we'll be doing something pretty fun. I will be showing you how to create real-time hair inside Blender. The method I'll be showing you is tried and tested and works as expected. Alongside with me is this nice drink, also chairs. So let's get started. There are a couple of things involved in this particular method. So first you have to groom your hair system using the particle grooming or even the new geometry node, and then you just have to convert it into a curve. And the next you need to have a very nice looking hair card or hair textures that will be applying onto the hair. And yeah, that's all you need. So for generating your hair textures, you could find it on Google, or you could create yours inside Blender, and finally you could use any other application. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using an application which has a free version. It's called Shop. So I recently got a license for a particular project and it has been a lifesaver, and you should definitely check it out. It might be what you're looking for. Okay, so let's get started. I have a couple of particle system head, and we need to turn this into real-time head. So we can quickly start with the top head and convert it into a mesh. So also I'll convert this to mesh, convert this to mesh, and convert this to mesh. So once you've done that, we can go ahead and hide them. So you might be tempted to kind of combine this to a system, which might work for you, but it's quite tricky. So to have more control, at this stage, you just want to leave everything as it is in a separate geometry. Maybe by the end of everything, then you can combine them into one mesh. But yeah, you just leave them separate for now. So let's start with this one first. It's at this point we'll quickly generate our hair texture before we proceed. If you've never used the software, it's pretty straightforward. Very nice, simple UI. You have everything you need to edit the hair here, and you have some material properties and look development stuff, and bake and export. So it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so for creating our hair textures, there's something I want us to bear in mind. So for this particular instance where we have lots of curves that will be added, converting into hair texture cards, because we already have a lot of curves when generating hair strands, we don't need to generate lots of hair strands. So we want as few as possible. So we can reduce the width density. Okay, so we just want it simple, very few, since we already have lots of hair strands here. Okay, it's at this point I will go ahead and just add some cool modifiers to kind of mess with things a bit. So depending on what you're looking for, you can kind of play around with this to see what works for you. And let's finally add a clump, and we'll leave everything as default. So for the bake and color, I want to switch this to a 4K texture just to get the best detail possible, and I'll go ahead and bake the texture map out. Then export, I will turn off stuff I don't need. So once we're done, we just need to select an output folder, so in my desktop, and export. We'll let it do its thing, and we can come back to Blender. Here in Blender, we want to create the material quickly from the exported texture. So we import an OBJ plane, which comes with what it export this for you too. So we can just import that and use this as a quick way to create our materials. So here, I'll just click on new material, and let's go ahead and import some image textures. So here in the desktop, we have a texture here, and we have the albedo, which I will plug in, and then I will also plug in the normal. For the color space, I'm going to set this to non-color, and also I'm going to be adding a color map, normal map, sorry. And for the final show and shown, we want an alpha, so we're going to go ahead and add the alpha texture and plug it into the alpha. And see if you want to preview it in Eevee, importantly, you want to go to settings and switch on the alpha. So where's that? So viewport, blend mode, I'm going to set this to alpha hash. Okay, so if we click on preview material, let's see what we have. So we can see we have it looking nice. We just need to increase the samples for the viewport. We'll set it to 100. Okay, so we have the hair looking nice with everything. So we can still modify this later as we go on or as needed. So at this point, I will just call this hair and save it and just delete it for now. Okay, so now for converting this into a hair card, the only thing we want to bear in mind is with all the strands here, we basically want all the points for each strand to be equal to each other. So the way we do that with geometry nodes. So let's convert this into a curve. So the way you can do that is go to object, convert curve. Okay, then we can switch this to geometry node. So new node, and we want to go to curve and resample the resample curve node. So that the moment we apply, we can see it's already affected it. So we want a value that kind of keeps the shape but kind of optimize it a little. So this does the job. So let's say 20. Okay, let's just leave it at 20. And then we have to convert this into a mesh back. And again back into a curve. Yeah, I'm not messing with you. It's the steps. So the reason I did that rather than just work on the curve is I wanted to apply everything about the resampling of the curve so that we don't mess anything up. And then I come from mesh, I then move it back into a curve. Yeah, so that's that. And here in the curve, we can go to geometry depth. So I will increase it to 0.02. I think this is okay for now. Just smooth this out. So for the resolution, I can kind of set this to 0. This is what we have so far. And yeah, so that's all. We can go ahead and convert this back into a mesh. I'm going to press the slash key to go into local mode, and inside edit mode, select everything and press P by low spot. It's going to separate everything. And then I will select one of this mesh and shift H to hide everything except it, and switch this into the UV editor. Where is the UV? So shift 10 will get you into the UV editor. I am going to alt click and select an edge loop and press U, mark scene, and U unwrap. Okay, and let's quickly preview our material at the texture, just as a guide. So we can see that this texture is not evenly distributed. The UV is just kind of messed up. We need to make it a rectangle. So for that, I'll be showing you a neat trick. So we'll select this edge here, press scale x0. So that's S x0. So S x0. Then we have S y zeros. X y 0. So it's going to scale it on the y-axis 0, x 0. So that's this what I'm doing. So scale y 0. So we have this nice rectangle here. So we can select everything by pressing A, shift click this to make this the active selection. And if you search for, let's say, follow active quads, and just press OK. So this is a very nice quick way to have this. Okay, so we can go ahead and preview this with our hair material. So just make it distinct, I'm going to set it to red. So we can see it's looking good. We have the hair flowing nicely. So you can scale it in to have it looking more dense and fill it up nicely. So you can always play with this later, basically. And now we can alt-H every other thing. Select this, Ctrl-I to invert the selection, select it back. So try to make this an active object, and we'll press Ctrl-L, copy UV map. So since all the points, basically all this geometry have the same amount of points, edge loop, face, everything. That's why we're able to transfer the UV map. So that's why it was necessary to resample all the curves. Okay, and now we can just join them as one mesh. And if we preview it, we should see our head. So as you can see, it's looking pretty awesome. And it feels like a glow. So at this point, you can still go in, select this, kind of scale it. If you want to kind of make the hair more thick or kind of play with it, yeah, you still have that ability to do that. I wanted to show you how to optimize this. So once you're happy with this, and of course this is quite a bit low, but we want it to be more optimized. So we can, in the material preview, add a decimate modifier. Set this to 0.2. So we kind of decimate it a little bit more. It still retains the UV, so you can simply mess with the UV, and it tries to retain the shape as much as it can. And we'll just go ahead and apply this. Okay, so I'm just gonna pause the video and come back once I'm done with the rest. Okay, so I'm done, and here you go. All geometry hat. And you can work in like your game engine and everything. And of course, if you want to use it, like I mentioned, you can optimize it. At this point, you can like combine them into one mesh. But I would advise maybe before you convert it into one mesh, you probably want to like create a vertex group for each object so that you can easily select this later. Yeah, so that's it. You can see it works. So you can play with any settings you want. You can make it more shiny, make it less shiny. With some more like maps, you can make some more changes like the ID, the root tip. You can really push this and make it look good. But yeah, that's it for this tutorial. I hope it was fun, as I said. If you want to see a way you can generate this particular, if you want to see how to generate this trend inside Blender, please let me know in the comment, and let me know what you think about this workflow. Is this a good way to go about things? If not, you let me know. And okay, so that's it. Bye bye for now. See you next time.